to another exciting edition of Caltex Video Magazine. I'm your host, Gloria Barron. Get ready for another exciting trip around your Caltex world. In this edition, we'll give you worldwide employee survey results, SAP, Caltex's new purchasing software program, and the Indy race in Australia. After months of preparation and your participation, results are in from the first Caltex Worldwide Employee Survey. Every Caltex employee and contractor was invited to take part in this survey. The findings have been presented to the Management Committee in Dallas and reflect your knowledge and feelings about the company you work for.
Caltex would be conducting its first worldwide employee survey in a few months.
Recently, all employees were asked to participate in the first Caltex Worldwide Employee Survey. Participation in the survey was extraordinary. With over 5,000 employees, 71% of subsidiary company staff taking part. Such a high level of support ensures that the results are an accurate reflection of employee perceptions about Caltex.
We've done the easy part, we've collected the data. Now the tough part begins. The next step is to develop concrete action plans to address issues of concern to employees. The Management Committee in Dallas and the boards of directors at our operating companies are committed to this process. They are committed to taking action to address issues of concern to employees. Since
people is the first element in the strategic alignment process, addressing these issues on a company-by-company basis is essential.
It is clear through the process and from the reaction to the survey that employees care deeply about Caltex and want to help improve the company for the future. This is one of the steps that will help make people service value a way of life at Caltex.
Without question, our greatest asset is our people.
Caltex Chairman and CEO David Law Smith gave a State of the Company address at the Texaco Roundtable in June. Focusing on the process of change, Mr. Law Smith gave an overview of all Caltex areas of operation.
Caltex is important, not only to Chevron, but to Texaco. It's an important part of our overall corporate structure, and it's an important part of our downstream efforts on a global basis. So I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to turn it over to David.
What I would like to discuss today, some ad-lib comments with some slides to help stimulate some questions and some debate. But really it'll be a study of philosophy, a study of change, and a recognition of what has to be done to move forward in what is a very, very competitive industry. We see the ingredients of the process of change, three things. One must have constructive discontent with the status quo is number one. Number two, you must have creative impatience with the status quo. And thirdly, there must be enabling leadership. And that's what Caltex is focused in on in this process of change. And the major difference was we were seeking to be different. The business is commoditized. As far as we're concerned, transportation fuels are so similar in the areas in which we operate that it is very difficult to create a sustainable differentiation in the marketplace. Lubricants, different. That is, one can sustain a difference through technology. But it is a commoditized industry. How do we find that difference? I believe it has to be organizational and people. What are we doing to make certain that we succeed and provide value for our shareholders? We're having to restructure our worldwide portfolio. and within those portfolios, businesses within that worldwide portfolio. You have seen we have extracted ourselves from one of the refinery companies in Japan. We've extracted ourselves partially from Australia and merged with another company to become the largest marketer in Australia. For those of you here, I would think that we would say that Australia and Japan is our Europe and US. Very thin margins, very mature markets. We had to restructure and provide the funds from which we could draw to grow in China, India, Indonesia, and the Mekong region. In the retail activity, we are very aggressive, and I will show you some numbers later on where we have picked up the marketing mantle to become, hopefully, during my period here, I would love to see us known whenever we do a statistical sampling around the world as the preeminent service provider. The key is our proxy for integration, and that is the power of three. If we are not successful in coordinating the power of Caltex, Texaco, and Chevron, divided we'll be conquered. Together, there is no one that can beat our ability in these markets of China, India, Indonesia, and the Mekong Delta. And I think it's very important for us to know that, I've said it once before, in Caltex, it's only the mediocre that are always performing at their best. And I've said this forever. We should always set, if you set targets, they should always go upward. And we're setting targets that are upward. They're increasing targets, they're increasing stretches, as Texaco has been doing for years.
The Caltex Technology Research Program was held this year in Australia, providing a time of technical support and relationship building with Japanese equipment manufacturers. The meetings coincided with an Indy car race with high Caltex visibility, giving participants a great look at Caltex products in action.
Performance, endurance, the essence of racing, and the reputation and technical prowess of Caltex Petroleum all come together in the Caltex Technology Recognition Program. This year, the program was held in Surfers Paradise, Australia, to coincide with the 1996 U.S. IndyCar race there, the only running of Indy cars held outside the U.S.
It's not held for the fun of it. They're real working technical committee meetings between ourselves and the Japanese industry, and so we only meet when there's something really valid to talk about. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of fun in there as well.
It is an opportunity for Caltex to work with and expose Japanese manufacturers of automotive engine equipment to our technologies. CTRP works to customize our products to the needs of the essential market.
Racing is associated with high performance, high quality, both in terms of engines and in terms of the lubricants.
Outside of the meetings, the Gems were special guests at the race where the Caltex-sponsored car ran. Although the Caltex car was not in victory lane, the winner was running heavily in a Japanese-produced engine.
Some of the Gems, the Japanese OEMs, were really quite impressed that the Honda engine did have a standard grade of Haviland in it. I think Honda were probably quite impressed with it themselves. And that material, by the way, was manufactured, packaged, and delivered by Caltex New Zealand.
Staying ahead of the pack in product quality and technical support is the key to our success in Japan. CTRP is the unqualified winner of this race.
Moving your family to another part of the world can be very challenging and stressful. Understanding these pressures, Caltex has a program to help make this transition a little easier.
You move people and their entire social circle has changed. They don't have family, they don't have friends, they don't have all those things, and what happens is the spouse is going out to work every day. The kids are in a new school. Everybody's got something except the other person. They're the person left they're there, but they're still left behind.
Being an international corporation necessitates a blending of cultures. An overseas assignment can be exciting and rewarding, but also difficult for expatriates, particularly those with families.
Many of the couples today are working dual career couples, and when we send people overseas, in most cases it's very difficult for the trailing spouse to get employment. First 6 months after you move, that can be fine, because there's a lot of things to do with the relocation and getting everybody settled, but after that, especially in a culture where people seem to define themselves by what they do, it's very hard to suddenly have no identity.
James Mwangi came to Dallas from Kenya with his wife and 2 young daughters. Although English is widely used in Kenya, the environment of his new assignment was quite a change for the entire family. Expatriate support has helped.
Caltex had arranged an apartment for us. Having traveled with 2 young children and having lived in a hotel on the way, it was like coming home, coming into an apartment. Caltex from then on went on and arranged for all the necessary documents that are required to work here. They arranged for transportation. I had my immediate supervisor look after us and find out whatever we need, both at work and at home. So we were encouraged to talk to him anytime, ring him anytime if we had any problem. And that was very good, because everywhere we went, we were learning something new. We weren't quite sure of what we were meant to do, but we always had somebody to call. And not only him, even the other people that I came to know in our department, in our division, they were very helpful.
After settling in, Caltex helps expatriates get the basics for living and working in their host country. This often includes establishing bank accounts, social security numbers, and any licensing required for their job. Other support structures have sprung up on their own. A group of Caltex spouses is active in Dallas, getting together to interact with one another and swap stories.
We talk about areas and schools, different housing, good places to shop, good places to eat, and we share a lot of jokes about culture shock and the new challenges you have to meet.
The reason to do this is to acknowledge the fact that they exist and that they're important to the company. They're an unpaid worker in a lot of respects. They're an ambassador for your company. They represent your company overseas. People always know a company they're the spouse of somebody working at. They can do a lot of good for your company just by being who they are.
The opportunity to live and work in a society vastly different from your own is great in Caltex. Supporting those who can make the commitment to overseas assignment is of prime importance. Expatriate and spousal support can ease the tensions and make it a winning experience for all involved.
In an effort to provide a more efficient and integrated service, Caltex has implemented SAP, a state-of-the-art financial software.
Informational technologies have exploded in scope in this decade. Computer systems superior in the 70s and 80s were large mainframe units requiring huge investments in time and finances. The personal computer revolution has shown the advantage to individualize desktop systems over the dinosaur mainframes in space, cost, and ease of use. Caltex has adopted SAP as its primary operating software for business systems.
The old way of doing business, the buyer would write out a worksheet and then he would hand that off to a PO, a typist, who would then type it from the worksheet. Then the buyer would proofread it and send it back for corrections, and then the PO would go out. In this way, the requisition, once it's entered on the system, the buyer then simply transposes that information without any rekeying, and you generate a PO from that directly.
For the short term, customer service and consistency benefit immediately.
In Dallas, we had a team of 4 people: Wes Johnson, Joanne Jones, and myself from the computer division, and Dean Schneider from the computer department. Because of Wes and Joanne's dedication and hard work, we were able to implement SAP in Dallas in a short time. During the course of our project, the chairman came down a few times to the floor to see us, to talk to us, inquire about what we were doing. And that was unbelievable for the chairman to come down. That was enough to motivate us.
One very important point, the group that came together in Singapore last summer to design the core team did a tremendous job. The product that they produced is incredibly powerful, and all of the consultants I've talked to have been impressed with how we did it. I really need to say thank you to all the people who participated in that team. It was a huge personal commitment and sacrifice. They did a great job. And my team here in Dallas, putting the SAP system in place and configuring it for our needs here, also did a great job.
For the future of Caltex, SAP may provide global integration of information from all of Caltex's operating companies.
There's reason to celebrate in Thailand. We are proud to report that the SPRC refinery project there has reached mechanical completion. JGC hosted a party in March to celebrate the completion of construction of the new refinery. This monumental project will be a source of high-technology jobs for Thailand and the pride of Star Petroleum. Although a major milestone has been reached, we are reminded there is important work ahead. The Chief Secretary of the Hong Kong government, Anson Chan, recently visited Caltex House in Dallas. Her visit was part of a multi-city tour of the U.S. to promote trade and investments with Hong Kong and to explain the change of sovereignty of Hong Kong scheduled to occur in July of 1997. The fact that Ms. Chan and her delegation chose to visit Caltex on her short U.S. visit emphasizes the strong relationships between Caltex and Hong Kong. Caltex welcomed Ms. Chan with open arms and was most pleased to greet a friend of long standing. On April 1, 1996, Caltex completed the sale of its 50% share in Nippon Petroleum Refining Company. The proceeds were used to pay a special dividend to Caltex shareholders and settle Caltex's U.S. tax obligations arising from the sale. Barry Crossman announced the formation of Caltex Oil Products of Japan. In May, this new company started selling lubes through selected channels. The Caltex Executive Development Program was held in conjunction with the University of Dallas to bring academic business theory and real-world experience together. Topics included business strategy, value creation, and ethics. 12 Caltex executives from operating companies took part in classes and team strategy exercises.
If you believe you have achieved everything and you sit back on your laurels, you'll find you're losing out. You've got to continuously keep on improving your processes, your products, because your customers' perception of quality is going to improve all the time. So you got to continue improving your processes, your service, your products, and that is the only way you can add value to your company.
Crisis communications workshops are frequently conducted throughout Caltex to prepare our employees to deal with an emergency situation in an effective manner. The Crisis Emergency Response Team recently sponsored such a workshop in Dallas. The workshop helped to develop skills in communicating with local officials and news media in times of crisis. The Caltex Emergency Response Team continues to meet and conduct drills and training so that response will be rapid and effective should a disaster occur. In June, Caltex employees responded to the call for help in the nationwide Walk America campaign for March of Dimes. 125 employees donated their time and energy to participate in the walk held at White Rock Lake in Dallas. The day was quite a success and raised $6,400 for the charity. A commitment to community continues to be the mainstay of the Caltex spirit. Caltex is committed to being involved in the nations and communities in which we operate. In South Africa, this commitment is supporting the rich tradition of the arts, as well as helping the youth of the nation. As we see in this next report, Caltex is involved within the country of South Africa and is taking a leadership role in exporting its diverse heritage to the United States for others to enjoy.
Far from the landscape of Africa, dancers reveal their culture for patrons attending the opening of an exhibit of African art in Dallas, Texas. The exhibit, titled Panoramas of Passage, opened at the African American Museum of Art in Dallas due to a major contribution of funds from Caltex. Patrons of the museum are able to see a wide panorama of art by South Africans. The pieces depict the beauty of the land, as well as the struggles its people have endured. Bringing the exhibit to Dallas is one step in educating people about the changes which have occurred in South Africa, particularly since the demise of apartheid. The bulk of Caltex's commitment to the culture and people of South Africa is most noticeable in its local communities. Youth activities sponsored by Caltex of South Africa include soccer and basketball leagues. These programs provide an outlet for the young people of the area to show off their athletic talents under professional direction. The South African Olympic team is being sponsored by COSA, attending the games this summer in Atlanta. On musical notes, Caltex sponsors massed choir festivals twice a year in Johannesburg. Several famed South African musicians were featured in a series of concerts courtesy of Caltex. As in all areas of operation, protecting and enhancing the local environment is important to Caltex. Caltex purchased this land to ensure its delicate balance is protected. It is one of the only urban wetlands in existence today and is maintained under guidelines developed by the South African Nature Foundation. Our efforts are helping to ensure that the land and people of this dynamic region will have a future growing brighter than the past. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Caltex Video Magazine. We're going to leave you now with some of the sights and sounds of the rich South African culture.